Stupid for Movies. We're back. Hi, everybody.
Is this our Oscar show?
No.
I remember promising everybody we would do an Oscar show.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
It's our Oscar for 2023 show.
I predict Coda will win nothing.
Yeah.
An after-school special wins nothing.
No, Mark, we did an Oscar show.
In your mind.
If you can't find it online, that's not my problem, Mark. It's there, clearly.
It's an NFT.
Welcome to the show. Today we're going to do Top Gun Maverick. We're going to review that. First, let's talk about a little surprise that happened this morning. Ray Liotta passed away.
Yeah, so sad. And, I just saw him back in October. He attended a variety Newport Beach Film Festival event, and he was given an award, and he got up to give a speech, and he basically said, "I'm not great at speeches," and sat back down. And it was so, I remember the woman who was doing my makeup there was like more excited than anyone coming that Ray Liotta was going to be there. And she was really hoping she could meet him, and he just made her day, and he couldn't have been sweeter.
Yeah, I produced him a couple times on talk shows, and you got the feeling that maybe he'd be a jerk because he has got that tough guy look. But actually, he seemed like a nice guy. And a couple times I produced him on shows, he was a nice guy. And he's very good. I mean, he had his little niche. Obviously everyone knows him from as Henry Hill in Goodfellas, but he was also in Field of Dreams, right? I mean, he was in Something Wild, the Jonathan Demme film. He had roles on Frasier. He did a lot of stuff. He wasn't just a tough guy.
Was he in Animaniacs, or was it just based on his character, the Good Feathers? Did you people not watch Animaniacs?
I did not.
What kind of childhood? It's not a childhood. What kind of adulthood did you have? I was watching it when I was
after my time.
It was not late 90s, early 2000s.
But Animaniacs was kind of for the cool kids, and I was not a cool kid.
Oh, I was a cool kid.
And I'm not a cool adult.
He played himself in B-Movie. There's a whole subplot about him like being a honey magnet that showed he had a really good sense of humor. And he was recently, well, not recently, as the show's been gone for a couple of years, but he played himself on Modern Family. They like the maps to the stars' homes, and they're looking for Barbara Streisand, but Ray Liotta has bought her home. And it was just a really funny, self-effacing turn. And yeah, he was so intense looking. I think not that I expected him to be a jerk, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he had been. And he couldn't have been sweeter.
Could have been sweeter. And obviously he has a sense of humor about himself. He played himself in a couple roles, as you say, very self-effacing. He really carved himself out a niche as a character guy who would sometimes rise to the level of a leading man, especially when his career kind of took off at the beginning. And then he kind of slipped into like more supporting parts and shows like Frasier and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And as you say, Modern Family. But I will remember him always, not as Henry Hill, but as the man who ate his own brains in the Silence of the Lambs sequel, Hannibal.
See, it's interesting. I think like the last thing I saw him in that made a really big impact was Marriage Story. I thought he was great in that. And then obviously he played the role of twins in Many Saints of Newark, which I thought he was spectacular in, even though it was kind of silly he was playing twins because they didn't do anything to differentiate them. But his performance was very good. And he was in No Sudden Move, the Soderbergh movie last year as well. Like, he never stopped working.
He never stopped working. When he died, he was shooting a film, I think in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So he's definitely, he was a presence. He'll definitely be missed.
And there was a weird thing going on in the Dominican Republic. There's been a couple of tourists who have died in their sleep in the Dominican Republic, like literally a couple weeks ago. So that struck me like, that's kind of weird. I'm sure. Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting. They don't know.
Don't get all Alex Jones on us. Don't do a whole thing.
He also just did a movie called Died in Your Sleep. Right?
What? Really? Are you making that up?
I read on somewhere. Like he died in his sleep, and he just wrapped a movie called Died. And I'm like, what?
No, he did. There's no way.
I have him. He did the Blackbird series, which he finished, and the movies El Tonto and I think Dangerous Waters. I have not heard about Died in Your Sleep.
No, there's no Died in his sleep. I'm staring at his IMDb right now. There's no Died in his sleep.
All right, then.
Maybe, actually there is. It's called Died in His Sleep in the Dominican Republic while shooting a movie called Dangerous Waters. That's the name of the movie. Mike fell for it.
These waters sound pretty dangerous, Mark. All right, let's get to, I pop up right now I pop up the screen for Top Gun Maverick, but I'm phoning it in. We don't have any graphics today.
We're all very tired. Some of us just got
So
in.
Top Gun, a lot of people are very excited about this. Let me tell you what I remember about Top Gun, which was like my teen years. So I should be, I should be the target market, I guess, for this sort of. I don't remember anything. I remember there was some jet fighters, there was a motorcycle, there was guys playing volleyball, and a dude named Goose. And I do remember that the military was very happy in the end with the movie because they did not have to market or spend any advertising dollars for the next 2 years because it was such a recruiting vehicle for the Army. That's all I remember about Top Gun.
I remember.
I forget the too cool for school stuff. I get it. The Top Gun's not cool enough for you. I get it.
I think Top Gun. Wasn't Top Gun a cool movie?
It was a very cool movie from what all my friends told me.
I was watching Toxic Avenger and Spinal Tap at the time. I was not cool.
It was a little before my teen years. So I did eventually see it on VHS one time, like 2 years after it came out. I did not get the big deal. I went into this new Top Gun Maverick with no nostalgia, not really high expectations, and I was completely blown away by how much I loved it. I don't know why I'm like a little embarrassed to say that, but I am. It's really spectacular, and I've talked to people who were big fans of the original, people who were not fans of the original, people who were kind of indifferent, and all of them love the sequel as well.
Well, I can tell you that I kind of agree with you. Where I watched the original the night before I saw the new one, and the original is not very good. It really isn't. This film is far superior in every way. It really is. I thought this was just spectacular summer entertainment that will just completely scratch that itch of just good old movie star. We'll get to Tom Cruise obviously in a second. Great movie star, summer excitement movie making. I thought it was great. And in watching the other one, you realize what the other one had mostly, which is, and I was talking to a female friend of mine about this, where she said that what she loved about Top Gun was the fact that in her, again, early teen years, it was the first movie that she saw that really objectified men. Like in movies, the women are always objectified. They're in the bikini, they look slinky, they get the sexy sax music. When they're introduced, women are objectified in films forever. And this was the Top Gun back in the day. It was the first film she saw where the men were objectified. And I thought that was kind of interesting take on it, which is a guy I didn't think of. But the movie itself is not that great. This Maverick is great. It's just so much fun. And obviously it all rests on the shoulder of Tom Cruise. And what's interesting, Janelle, I'll be curious to get your thoughts on this, is that the reason why Tom Cruise is so perfect for this is not only because he's Tom Cruise, I get that, but also, and he played the role before, I get that too, but the way the movie is constructed is that everybody has to come to him for the answers.
Yeah.
Only he knows how to save the world. And only he knows how to blow up this MacGuffin thing that everyone's got to blow up. And it seems like just a perfect role for him because everybody has to defer to him and everybody depends on him and only he can do it in the end. And it just seems like the perfect role for him in that sense.
It's kind of funny because I know that Tom Cruise is older than he was, obviously, 30 years ago, but everyone keeps calling him old man and making references to his age. The guy still looks 35. It's amazing to me. I mean, he looks amazing, but yeah, he's been around the block, and it's really cool how he shares so much screen time and gives props to like sort of this new generation. Miles Teller plays the son of Anthony Edwards, who played his best friend Goose, who the only thing I do remember about Top Gun is Goose met a tragic end because when Hot Shots came out, the parody, I believe the best friend's name was Dead Meat because it was so obvious from the beginning of the movie he was going to die. And then there's, of course, who I think is the real star of the movie, Glenn Powell, an actor who's been a real up-and-comer for years, auditioned for the Miles Teller role, didn't get it, was offered a different part, originally said no because, it wasn't the big lead. And Tom Cruise basically talked him into taking this part. And I think he steals the movie. He's fantastic. He's going to be a huge, huge star after this weekend. So charismatic. There's kind of like a sweet passing of the torch from Tom Cruise onto these guys. And it does nostalgia the right way, I will say. A lot of movies do it the wrong way. And this one, like, even for something I wasn't nostalgic for, it made me nostalgic.
Well, if you remember, the opening credits of this film is almost shot for shot as the opening credits of the original film.
I don't remember.
Which is funny because I guess it shows how much we were just absorbing this and enjoying it from the first frame. Because a lot of films like that, we would actually knock it for doing that. We would actually say, oh, the opening credits are the same. That's lame. Now we hear the opening credits are the same. That's awesome. Like somehow we give Top Gun a pass on that, where we would not give a pass on other films that obviously self-consciously they're doing that, replicated the opening credits from both films. So the one thing it does do is that it puts you in the mood, right? The aerials, and I guess which is related to this, the aerial footage is spectacular, and they really did do all the flying. And I guess Tom Cruise trained for 6 months, and I guess the other crew members did too. Janelle would know more than me, but trained for 6 months to fly those jets, and it really does give you that sense. If you are there, I'm sure there's some CGI there, but if anything, it's very light CGI. You get the sense that they're really there. And it's something that we really have to remind ourselves in the CGI era, that as exciting as it is, when a CGI bridge falls down or a CGI building collapses, it's way more exciting when the actual Tom Cruise is in an actual jet, actually flying. And that's great.
And someone was asking me like, well, what is the plot? And I'm like, it's really pretty simple. He gets brought back into the training school to train a new generation of fighters for what you described aptly as a MacGuffin of a mission. And amongst them are the Glenn Powell character and like these new hot shots, and then Miles Teller playing the son of Anthony Edwards. It's interesting. I actually would make a case that Glenn Powell probably should have gotten that role. I think he looks like he could be Meg Ryan and Anthony Edwards' child. Because Miles Teller is playing that role, he has a mustache. And I think that's meant to signal to you, oh, remember Goose? This is his son. We gave him a mustache so they look alike when they really.
Well, Miles Teller, the thing with him is that he's got a little nerd to him, like a little bit in the eyes. There's a little nerd thing. Of course, Anthony Edwards, as the co-star of my favorite movie of all time, Revenge of the Nerds. Anthony Edwards was like an OG nerd. And I feel like Glenn Powell, who's terrific in the movie, has nothing to do with that. And as you say, I agree. It's a bit of a star-making part for him. He's going to start to get a lot of good work now. Glenn Powell's too handsome. Anthony Edwards not handsome. But Miles Teller, he's a good-looking guy, but he's got a little nerd in him, where I kind of feel that. So I think everything landed where it should. But you're right. And what I did like about the movie is that they paid a fair amount of, more than lip service, but less than Kramer versus Kramer. They did pay a fair amount of attention to the fact that the Rooster, the Miles Teller character, is upset with Maverick because not only the death of his father, but because thanks to Maverick, Rooster was passed over for I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to spoil it, but there's two reasons why Rooster is mad at Maverick. And of course, Maverick feels guilty, and now he's got to help train this kid, hopefully not kill the kid in the midst of training or doing this mission. So they kind of do a pretty good job of mining some interesting conflict there, where it's not just like, let's blow up the thing. Because the original Top Gun, there's not much of a story. There really isn't. Now, this story here, where they have to blow up the blah, blah, you don't even really know or care. It makes no sense. It's like, you don't know who it is, what country it is, what the point is. It's just there's a blah, blah, and you got to go up real fast and down real fast and real slow and whatever the hell. It's a big nothing. But it does at least give everybody a goal. But I did like the fact that they did mine for some of that conflict between Maverick and Rooster. They took it fairly seriously, which I liked.
There's, they try and put in these little conflicts. I don't think it's a spoiler to say Ed Harris shows up at the beginning as like the tough military guy who's going to, but at the same time, everyone has this respect for Maverick. It's like they're trying to stop him and they're telling him not to do things. But at the end of the day, everyone is really pretty nice to each other,
Well, nobody's going to stop. It's not just no one's going to stop Maverick, but nobody's going to stop Tom Cruise.
Right. Exactly.
Because ultimately, again, this movie is constructed around him.
And I want to give a shout out to Jennifer Connelly, because she has given, I literally think her name is love interest. She has given a nothing part, and she really makes something of it. Like I was just happy to see her. I thought that she did the best she could, and she actually had really great chemistry with Tom Cruise. I was very happy to see that. And of course, it's not a spoiler to say that Val Kilmer is in this movie, and just thinking about his scenes get me emotional. He's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, they did something clever, which I would love to talk about, but I can't, in the way they played that scene, which is he communicates one way at the beginning, then communicates another way at the end, when you can really get that emotional hit.
I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's,
Goose. Goose is from Top Gun
Goose!
too. It's all coming together. So I guess the moral of the story is that this thing is extremely satisfying. I had a great time.
And I'm shocked. Even though I had been hearing really great things about it, I was like, people like the first one. I don't know. The funny thing is, the only thing I remember about the first one is stories from the set. Like they had to do reshoots because like the chemistry between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis apparently wasn't fully there, or people wanted more scenes. So they did a reshoot, but she had cut off all her hair. So she had to wear a baseball cap.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the elevator. Yeah. And I remember like, because people who, weren't reading Premiere Magazine when they were 12 years old like me, didn't know that was a reshoot. And they talked about like how stupid that scene was and why was she wearing a baseball cap? Mm-hmm. And, for the record, they don't address where Kelly McGillis's character is in this. Little bit of a bummer. I mean, obviously, I'm not super invested as I didn't really care for the first movie that much, but I thought it would have been nice to say where she ended up.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you think about it, even the Meg Ryan character is mentioned verbally.
Yep.
And I think you see a photo, some old school photo of her. But Kelly McGillis is like she did not exist. I mean, I didn't miss it. It's fine. It's,
Yeah, it doesn't, again, because I have no huge investment in the first one. Sometimes sequels can kind of undo the legacy of the first one. Like the first example that comes to mind, it's not great, is in Karate Kid 2. You learn that, Daniel and the Elizabeth Shue character broke up and she wrecked his car, which is then retconned in Cobra Kai. We learned she did not wreck his car, which I appreciated because I didn't see her character doing that. And so like, I would, I don't know that I expected Maverick and her to still be together after 20 some years, but I thought like a reference to her would have been nice.
Or something like, sorry she died in that horrible wreck, or now she's got 10 kids, or she's a 4-star general somewhere. Yeah, I mean, they could have thrown a line of dialogue at it like they did with Meg Ryan, but in the end, the thing is that the Meg Ryan character does connect to the Rooster and Maverick character, whereas the Kelly McGillis character doesn't really connect to anybody else in this one, just Maverick. So the fact that they didn't do it I hear what you're saying, but it didn't really bother me that much. I was too busy enjoying it. What the hell do I care?
I feel like what they should have done is Tom Cruise could have been looking on Facebook and looking her up to see what she's doing now in life. Oh, she's married and has kids, and then he DMs her and she doesn't answer back. That's realistic.
Yeah, that's what I want to see Maverick. I want to see Maverick check his phone for 2 hours. That's what I want to see.
That's what I'm saying. But that's how, if you want it, like, because otherwise the real thing is 20 years, 30 years later, people don't talk to each other.
It's true.
It's just, they just don't. Nobody remembers anybody. And if they do, it's because of social media these days. Like, let me see what they're doing. All right.
By the way, this director could make Maverick looking at his phone for 2 hours pretty exciting. I'm not super familiar, Joseph Kosinski, with his work.
He did. You know what? He did the Tron sequel that I'm a vague fan of. I didn't think it was that bad. Had an amazing score, that movie. He did the Tron sequel. He did Oblivion, which somehow wound up being a fun film, even though I don't know why I liked it, but I did kind of like Oblivion. And then that was kind of it. And he's also directing Spiderhead, which is this Netflix movie with I think it's with Liam Hemsworth.
I thought it was Chris Hemsworth, but you're probably right.
It's one of the Hemsworth. Actually, Miles Teller's in it too.
That's what I've heard, that like Joseph Kosinski tends to work with the same people, or like he is sort of building a stable, and like I assume Tom Cruise handpicked him after Oblivion.
Tom Cruise can work with whoever the goddamn hell Tom Cruise wants, and Cruise will fight for that. He'll fight for that person.
Yeah,
he's good like that. But yeah, obviously he must have had a good experience with Kosinski on Oblivion. Again, a film that I kind of liked.
I'm gonna check it out tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan now. I'm gonna check it out. And this also is reportedly, the question is, will this be Tom Cruise's first $100 million opening weekend? The answer is yes. And it's crazy to me that he's never had one before.
It is crazy that he's never had one. When you think about the Mission Impossible films, that one of those films opened at $100 million.
No, I mean, it is crazy. I guess, first of all, it's been a while since we had a Mission Impossible film, but, the early ones back then, we didn't have $100 million opening weekends, I think.
No, the original was what, in 96? The original, that was before the $100 million.
So you're saying this is a super spreader event. Everybody's
well, actually, what I'm saying, but here's what it's spreading. It's helping to spread the idea that people should see movies in movie theaters. That's what.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So, are you loving it because the movie's great, or because this is a big, huge film that needs to be seen in a movie theater, and we haven't seen one of those in a few years?
Well, I can't wait to rewatch this thing on my iPhone. It's going to be great.
While stuck in traffic. I have been to movies pretty frequently in the last year, and so for me, it's not like the thrill of being back. I would highly recommend seeing it in a movie theater. I think it will make a big difference, but I'm also not someone who says you have to. I've seen some of the best action movies on airplanes and they've held up. But yeah, you should go see it this weekend, help them get to that 100 million because Tom Cruise needs our help.
Yeah,
he really does.
I will not be seeing it this weekend. I'll be watching in my backyard when it's streamed available. But and then hopefully I'll remember more about this movie than I did the first one.
And see IMAX. See IMAX. I said, did you see? Wait, did we see the same screening?
I think we were in the theater together, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I was told that wasn't a real IMAX screen by some nerd.
That I don't know. It seemed nice enough to me, but maybe some super nerd.
Now, when you guys go to screening, everybody's still required to mask up?
Yes, that's what I like about press screenings as opposed to public.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Public, they're not.
Yeah, see, I don't think I've been to a public screening. I really want to go back and see Doctor Strange. So that might be my first journey back into.
All right. Well, wait, we have a question. What about the soundtrack? Because all I hear, that's right. The other thing I remember is Highway to the Danger Zone, right? I actually was going to start the whole episode humming that. Oh, I messed up. Dun, dun, dun,
I had sunglasses I was going to wear and I couldn't find them.
So how's the soundtrack?
I'm not the right person to ask. I'm terrible with music.
Mark,
I really like the Lady
80s?
Gaga song.
It's there's some 80s callbacks. It's not as memorable as the original. But don't forget, the original came out at a time when movie soundtracks were best-selling albums.
It was all Hans Zimmer.
Right? We're not there anymore. The only thing I will say is that there is a Lady Gaga song, and I have no particular allegiance or love or care for Lady Gaga, but I like the song. It's
good song.
It's a good song.
I think it'll probably be nominated.
Probably nominated. It's got some old school callbacks. The score itself is fine. It's just a bunch of rah-rah action movie stuff that doesn't really impede or get in the way, so that's fine. But in terms of a soundtrack, if you're a big fan of the original soundtrack, you're not going to be as much of a fan of this one,
right?
Because the other is so iconic and came out at a time when soundtracks meant something. But that's
80s
fine.
Was all one-hit wonders, and they were all very memorable, both in movies and in music. And we just don't have that world anymore. It seems like.
Yeah.
Well, because
soundtrack. I have the Top Gun soundtrack, even though I hadn't seen the movie.
Right.
Hey, look, when I was a kid, I used to collect soundtracks. I collect John Williams and James Horner and John Carpenter. And I mean, now I would never think to do that. Now this is a bigger conversation, but it's a different time in the world of film scoring. Yeah. It's just not that, you give Michael Giacchino, guy's got 2 weeks to come up with, 65 minutes of music for a Star Wars movie. That's what he's got. It's not the way it was when Williams and Horner and some of these, Jerry Goldsmith and some of these guys were doing it. So it's a different time.
All right. So go see Maverick is what you're saying.
Yes. Oh, by the way, there's a female pilot this time around too.
But she can't parallel park. See, she can't parallel park the jet. That's the problem.
Wow, canceled.
See, I can't make jokes. It's not the time now. It's too soon. It's not soon enough. I can't decide. I can't figure it out.
What's the next big movie coming out after this?
It's got to be in June. Jurassic something.
Oh, yeah, Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah, one of the Jurassic Park. It's the last Jurassic Park, right?
No, it's not the last Jurassic Park. That's impossible.
Well, that's
first of all, there's the Neo-Jurassic era that was teased at the end of the previous one. There's also the Cretaceous period and the Triassic period. They can just always go back to those. It's not the last one.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be.
But it's bringing everyone together.
I thought it was supposed to be the last one.
No, it's not. It's impossible. Impossible.
All right.
Unsubscribe in real time, or were they saying unsubscribe?
No, he's saying unsubscribe because he was canceling Mark.
We should start.
Listen, Beatmaster, I control this. I say that this beautiful face is on this show for as long as I want.
All right.
Yes, Jurassic World Dominion. And the last time, I don't know, Mark, if you were there, the last time Mike is like, what are you guys doing? Shut up already.
No, keep going.
The screening for the last Jurassic World we didn't catch the last 5 minutes because somebody passed out in the theater. I don't know. It was like the first press screening.
Wow.
I remember
like,
that.
Oh yeah. It was really, the person was okay, but it was really
that afraid of T-Rexes.
And they had confiscated our phones, which I understand, but nobody could call for help. So everybody
oh my
was
God,
like,
that's a great scene.
Yeah, we were all freaking out, trying to figure out what to do. Someone finally ran outside and got somebody. She was fine. But there was so much chaos. And I guess
you pass out at a movie? Because usually you pass out, you're like walking, you're standing up, you're sitting down. You usually don't pass out when you're sitting down.
It's happened more times. It happened one time at a screening of Roma I was at. And it's happened twice at theaters I've been in for live theater. So.
All right. So it's something about you.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, you got to stop wearing that ether perfume. Is that ether where they put on your face, they pass you out?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, that's fast as I can come up with a joke. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for checking out.
Mark doesn't approve.
What's that?
Mark doesn't approve of the joke.
You guys got your whole little solo act going. I get it. You guys got your little Abbott and Costello thing going. I'll let you have that.
All right. Well, go see Jurassic World. No, wait. Go see Top Gun Maverick.
I want to see it again. I'm looking forward to it.
And let us know in the comments what you thought below, right? We got to say it. Let us know in the comments below. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. And we will be back sometime.
At the Oscar show.
With the Oscar show. We'll be back with the Oscar show. All right. See y'all later. Thanks,
guys.